Hello and welcome to the show, Random Shit, Random Guy. As always, I'm your host, Phil, and I am going to do a check real quick because I'm not positive this is even working. And I don't want to do a whole show and it not work, so let me check. This is even working. It is, so sweet. Alright, guys, as always, I'm your host, Phil, and we are back. I'm going to take these off because I don't really need them. With a new episode of the podcast. This episode, we are going to break down NXT Live. That's right. Last night I attended NXT Live in Corbin, Kentucky. If you attended the show, let me know in the chat below. This episode is going to be a little different than normal. It's not going to be full of news that we're going to get to some news. But yeah, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about NXT Live last night. It was the first WWE show I've went to in a couple years now, and I wanted to kind of break down what I thought of the show, what I thought of ticket prices, that sort of thing. So, but before we get into any of that, I need you guys' help to give this video a big thumbs up so that other people can find it. I also need you to hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell because all those things help us to grow as a channel. We are so close to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. As of right this second, we are at 883 subscribers. We are 117 away from our goal. My goal is when Conor McGregor steps into the... Sorry about this, 1 second. When Conor McGregor steps into the cage on July the 11th, I want to be already at 1,000 subscribers. If we can get there before then, might even do a giveaway. So make sure you are part of that, and that way you can be in early. So that way you know when we're going live. That way you know what's going on with the page. But yeah, we're going to be talking a little NXT. So going into this event, I do not attend a lot of shows these days that are WWE related. One of the reasons why is ticket prices. And as you saw in the video theme here, it was, is it worth the ticket price? And I kind of wanted to go into the ticket prices before I go into the show itself. So they announced they were coming to the Corbin Arena about a month ago. And when I looked at it, actually it was about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And when they looked, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to this. It was typical WWE pricing. The floor seats at the time were around $130 a piece, $65 for decent seats, and then upper arena was around $40. And at the time, I was like, I don't really watch NXT. And full disclosure, I don't watch NXT on a weekly basis. I don't watch it a lot at all, to be honest. I am familiar with the names because I keep up with the comings and goings of WWE wrestling. I watch, if I hear there's a big match, I'll go back and watch it again on the CW. But as far as keeping up with NXT weekly, I'm not your guy. I'm not the beat. I'm not that. So I immediately said, I think I'm out. And I kept an eye on ticket prices. And in the back of my head, I was like, man, you're really going to regret not going. It's in your backyard. It's literally less than 20 minutes from your house. You got to go. So come Tuesday, I checked. And I was like, well, I'll sit up top. It'll be around, $40. It's okay. I'll do that. And then on Wednesday night, while I was watching Dynamite, I was like, you know what? I really need to check and see. Because a lot of times, the closer you get to an event, they will drop those ticket prices. And they dropped those ticket prices. I was able to sit in the front row. I went from not going to sitting in the front row for around $65. That's how much they dropped the ticket prices. They went straight in half. And that's because they weren't selling very well. And would I have paid $130 to sit front row? Fuck no. Honestly, I had a great time sitting front row. It's my second time at a house show getting to sit front row. Both actually happened to be in Corbin. Both I played the waiting game. The first time I went to WWE live in Corbin was 2022. I think it was about 4 years ago. It was right before my mom passed away. It was an early birthday present to me. We went and we bought our tickets driving up the hill. If you're not familiar with the Corbin Arena, it's at the top of a hill in down, right on the bypass side of Corbin, right outside of downtown. And as we're driving up the hill, we're like, just gonna sit wherever. It doesn't fucking matter. And as we're driving up the hill about 4 years ago, we saw tickets for like, I think it was like $45, $50 a piece. And we said, fuck it. Bam, bought the tickets, sat in the front row. That night we got to see Big E when he was still the champion, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles, Austin Theory. Like, it was a great show. So, fast forward, I play the waiting game again. And I buy the tickets. And I sit in the front row. And I'm nervous, I'm not going to lie. I don't love going to shows alone. But I was like, fuck it, I'll go alone. And I'm so fucking glad I did. I sit in the front row. And right behind me was Brian from Turnbuckle World and his brother, and they had some friends in the seats right beside of me. So it just kind of become like a big, like, everybody around me knew each other but me, but because I knew them, it kind of just joined in on the little circle of fun, and they were heckling and all that shit, and it was a lot of time. I probably look like I'm not having a good time when I'm at these shows. I'm the guy who I don't react at much shit no matter what it is. If it's good, you're going to get a small clap. If it's bad, probably not going to be saying anything. But I'm the guy who just kind of is observing everything. My brain does not shut off. When I'm at the show, I'm thinking, where's the exits? How many people's around me? Why does this guy beside me smell bad? Like, that's the kind of shit going through my head. And I have to turn all that shit off and say, hey, this is an opportunity you're not going to get often. Enjoy yourself. And I did. I had a great fucking time. There was 7 matches on the card. And well worth it, man. Like, 7 quality matches. Now, like I said, going in, I don't watch NXT. But I do know the big names. And the crowd kind of like, I look at it as like I went to an indie show. Like, if the crowd knows who they are and it's over, then I know who to cheer for. And then if I just don't care either way, I watch and then I just admire their fucking work. And that's kind of what I did on some of these matches. And I just had a good fucking time. But yeah, like I said, the ticket prices did drop in the last minute, and that made it worth going. I don't know how happy I would have been if I'd paid the $40 and sat up top. I think they dropped those down to like $30. It still didn't drop much, but like, I was like, if I'm going to pay 40, I might as well pay 60 and sit on the floor. And then when I saw I could sit ringside, I was like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm into. So, I am spoiled. I've been to 2 house shows, sat in the front row, both of them, got cheap tickets because I waited. Would I have sat in the second or third row? Yeah. The thing about this show is there wasn't a ton of people there, and that's a bummer. I do think the economy kind of hit some people in the area, and they didn't go to the show, or they didn't hear about the show until it was too late, or they just didn't want to go to NXT. That's also a possibility, but I'm so fucking glad I did. The card, it was seven matches with an intermission after the 4th match. So they had the night opened up with Kendall Gray versus Micaiah Lockwood, I think is her name. She's part of the Vanity Project. She's new to the group. And I will admit, I had no fucking clue who she was going in. I knew she was with the Vanity Project because they said she's with the Vanity Project. And I know the Vanity Project has the tag titles, but I was like, who the fuck is she? And my first thought when I saw her was, this bitch looks like, she reminded me of China. She's got the build. Her fucking, I've never seen muscles like that on a fucking female. Like, muscles on muscles in those fucking legs. Going up against Kendall Gray. I knew the name Kendall Gray, but I don't really know who Kendall Gray is going into this. I know she was on Evolve and won that championship. I'm assuming she was an ID person. Like, I feel bad that I don't know who the hell she was. But afterwards, after that match, you knew who she was. She put on a great fucking performance. Had a good time with that match. The second match on the card brought me some familiar faces, and that was Lexis King. Lexis King is the current Speed Champion in WWE, and he come out shooting a fucking promo, and like, as soon as, like, I know Lexis King because I know that's Brian Pillman Jr. I've seen Brian Pillman Jr. at several AEW shows as late back as his last, like, right before he went to NXT. And that was really cool. He come out with the Birthright, which led to the next match being a Birthright match. He went up against Kana Carver. Again, that's somebody else I'm not familiar with, but he did a fucking, like, that dude looked huge and looked intimidating, and it was really, those speed matches are bam, 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 action, 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 and it was cool to see that on a show like that. I don't really care for the speed match idea because it's like, basically get your shit in 5 minutes kind of match. But it is cool on a house show to see something like that because you get an opportunity to see different talent work. So that was really fun. The third match was a tag match with the Birthright of Channing Lorenzo and Uriah Connors up against Shiloh Hill and Jasper Troy. If you don't know, Shiloh Hill and Jasper Troy won LFG. And for some fucking reason, the crowd loves Shiloh Hill. I know he just got named Mr. NXT, but outside of that, I didn't know who he was. I thought it was weird that a dude was wrestling in jeans. Reminded me kind of Luke Harper. But the dude can fucking work, and the crowd loved him so much he did double duty on the card. He worked the tag team match up against Birthright and then come back again for the main event. Also had an NXT title with Evil versus Tony D. That was the part of the card where my attitude kind of changed. Had a good time, and this is right at the intermission. But my attitude changed because of the way security acted. So WWE has a strict, and I'm rolling my eyes when I say it's a strict, no video, like they can throw you out just for fucking shooting video. And I was taking pictures and I switched over to the camera and back on accident. And like, I thought I was taking pictures and I was recording the Tony D, but I'm like sitting here smacking my phone button. So it like definitely like on, off, on, off, on, off. And that's when security comes over and is like, hey, no fucking videos. And he's being a dick about it. And I'm like, I'm trying to take pictures. He said, I saw your flash. You were taking videos. I'm like, okay, well. But he stared at me for the remainder of the match like I was gonna do it again so he could throw me the fuck out, and I wanted to be like, fuck you, man. Like, you're being a dick. I get it. Y'all want to own every fucking second of every fucking show, but this is a house show. And guess what? The people up top are fucking recording this shit for their thing. And I guarantee you, because they're not WWE security, they're not fucking stopping them. But I paid more money, so I'm on the floor, and you're trying to stop me. And it kind of ruined my mood. We went into intermission, and I texted a friend, told them what was going on. They're like, just fucking relax, enjoy the show. So I did, and that was from that point on. I was just like, fuck them. I didn't even hardly take any pictures. I did take a couple pictures after that, but not very many. I didn't even want to risk that motherfucker even coming near me because he acted like he was going to throw me out, and he was going over to little kids, children, and doing the same thing. Like, I get you want to own everything that's on TikTok and YouTube, but people pay good money to come to your show, and some people just like to have the video. Kids like to post it on TikTok, and guess what? If someone sees your product on TikTok, guess what they're going to do? They're going to watch you on CW. Oh my God! Why the fuck wouldn't you want that? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand WWE's perspective on that. It reminds me of kind of how they're shutting down all these fucking influencers that do the reaction videos and shit like that. And it's like, people's watching your shit and you're using them on your show, but you don't want to fucking them to do it. And like, I wouldn't even be making money off the video, even if I did post it, which I do post wrestling content on here. You guys know that. But it's like, I'm not making money off of it, so fuck you. And even if I did, you would copyright it and you would make money off me sharing the goddamn video. So it's like, fuck off. But that kind of ruined my night for a little bit. I calmed down and we come back to a fucking banger of a match. Match of the night, in my opinion. It was a 3-way for the NXT North American title. Grayson Waller versus Miles Bourne versus Tavion Heights. And I've watched Miles Bourne work. I know his story. I know Grayson Waller from WWE. I did not know Tavion Heights, but holy fuck, Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights put in some fucking work, man. They did a great job. At the start of the match, Grayson Waller comes out and gets heat on the crowd and used the fact that USA just lost to Australia, and he's like, y'all are too dumb. You say USA because you don't want to chant America. Basically, your normal, hey, I'm in the South, I'm going to heal the crowd kind of shit. And it worked. Those people booed the shit out of him. Grayson Waller's kind of in an in-between time because he lost his tag team partner, and then his tag team partner joined the Vision, and then he joins the New Day, and the New Day get fired. So now he's back at NXT just kind of trying to recreate himself. And it is good on these house shows to have talent on there who does have experience on the house show loop, does have WWE experience, and that's Grayson Waller. And 2 other people, which I'll talk about in the last match. But yeah, that was a fun match. Of course, on a house show going in, nobody's changing titles. And like, I know this, but the people around me is like, holy shit, they're going to change the title. And I wanted to be like, man, I wish I could watch this the way you do, because they just had like the eyes of a child watching it. And I'm like over here critiquing it and shit in my head. And I hate that I'm that way, but I can't shut off my fucking brain, like I said earlier. And then you had the women's North American title match following that immediately between Zarya, Lizzie Rain, Kalani Jordan, and Ariana Grace. And throughout the night, Ariana Grace was like healing it up with all the people beside me, and they had her going, like, had a good time with her. And then Kalani Jordan comes out and gives her signed towel to the girl sitting next to me. So of course they're all Kalani Jordan the rest of the match. And then Lizzie Rain, this is my first time seeing her. That girl is going to be in WWE soon. I'm honestly shocked Zarya isn't. I know they can't call up everybody, because if they do, there's not going to be an NXT women's division. But I will say this. Anybody running independent shows need to look at the fact that they're not one, but three. No, no, two. There was two women's matches on this card. They were the hottest matches with the crowd of the night. And I get it. People are like, oh, nobody cares about women's wrestling. They do. And you should be putting women's wrestling on your shows as well. Especially if you have the opportunity to bring in like independent talent like trying to think. Like Allie Catch. Allie gets over everywhere she goes. So if you bring her to an independent show, she's gonna get over. Steph Delander's the same way. Who else? Shotzi, Scarlett Bordeaux. Like you bring in, and I get it; those are all like high class. But even on the lower scales, like Kinsey Page gets over everywhere she goes. Her sister as well. So it's like if you put girls on the card, you're going to hype the crowd a little faster. It's long past are the days of it's the women's match. We're going to take a potty break. No, they reunite the fucking crowd. They bring it back up. There's a reason they opened the card with a women's match and they co-main evented this card with a women's match. Especially with NXT because the women are some of the most talented that they have in NXT. Most of them are main roster ready right now. And speaking of main roster, the main event was between Tozawa, Otis, and Shallow Hill making his return. It was so fucking cool to see Alpha Academy in person again. The last time I saw Alpha Academy, they were heels with Chad. Tozawa wasn't in the group yet, but Otis and Chad, yeah, El Grande Americano, Chad, God, my brain's not working. Anyways, they were together at that time, and that was cool to see. But Otis, man, got over so big. They went up against Vanity Project, Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor, and Ricky Smokes. And they are pushing Vanity Project fucking hard, and they're a good heel group. But like I said, this crowd was 100% behind Shallow Hill, and they fucking loved Otis. I heard more cheers for Otis in this match than I probably ever have thought to hear about him in the history of his career. Like these people were going nuts for Otis. When he hits the worm, and he hit the worm in this like small arena with the mic'd ring. Every time he hit that fucking mat, it was like ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, and leans on top of him. It was awesome. It was so cool to see. But yeah, that was the match card. Definitely worth paying the price of admission. Would it have been worth the $130? I don't think so. And I'm sure in these bigger markets, they're staying at $130. I know prior they were in Pikeville, Kentucky the night before. Tonight, I believe they're in Evansville. So like they are charging those high prices for the floor, and it's the same show. And I look at this as like, would I pay $130 to go to an indie show? No. So why would I pay $130 to go see NXT? Because they're on the CW, which I don't watch on a regular basis? I wouldn't. So, but I would pay, $50, $60 to have a good seat and watch a show like this. So it was really cool to see. I'm excited that I got to see it, and it makes me excited for the summer because like we have this match. I just went to like last month. I went to an AEW show at a fair. Last night I went to NXT, and then I don't know. I'm sure I'll hit a show in July, but August comes, and that's when AMW comes to the arena, the same place I just saw NXT. And I'm so fucking excited about that. I was going to save this for the end, but I'm going to just go ahead and talk about it now. Get this card up here. Invite, share screen. Where's it at? Where's my Facebook tab? There we go. So I wanted to talk about this card right here. The Super Bowl of Wrestling. Close that. Go full screen. We got the Super Bowl of Wrestling coming up at the Corbin Arena, where I just went and watched NXT last night. August the 22nd, you have new Appalachian Mountain Wrestling Champion Lord Murphy Costigan in the house. You have the New South Champion Stan Sierra in the house. You got Marty Clay. You got all your AMW regulars. But there's also a convention going on. And you will have the opportunity to meet several superstars, including FTR, former AEW Tag Team Champions. You got the opportunity to meet the Major League Wrestling, NWL, Clash, Maple Leaf Pro, and the World Series of Wrestling champions, Doc Gallows. FTR versus Doc Gallows in the main event for the best of 7. Each one has 3 wins. The 7th will be determined in Corbin, Kentucky for Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. Not only that, you also get to see The Godfather in the house. You get to see Ridge Holland in the house. Dr. Tom Pritchard is going to be in the house. The latest name that has been announced, Tatanka, will be in the house, as well as the Mortons, Ricky and Kerry Morton will be in the house. All thanks to several awesome promoters working together to bring you on this awesome card. So if you haven't yet bought those tickets, head over to AM Wrestling. It's on the bottom of the screen right here. And go get your tickets to go see this awesome show, which will be taking place at the same place I just watched NXT, the place where I've watched WWE. You get to meet several awesome superstars. I am so excited to meet FTR. I am just as excited to meet the Good Brothers. So yeah, tickets are available now. There's also vendor spots available. I'm going to try and have some guys on from the card. So keep an eye out on the podcast as well as this. Like I said, I was going to close with this, but I wanted to get to it since I'm already talking about the Corbin Arena. So make sure, if you are in the area, to come out to Super Bowl of Wrestling. I want to talk a little FTR talk since I'm already on the thing. But before I get into FTR, I'm going to close that out. I want to remind everybody to hit that like button, hit the subscribe, invite your friends, tell them we're live, and join the chat. Be a part of the chat. Let me hear your opinions on things we're talking about. Love interacting with you guys. So make sure you are liking, subscribed, and hit that notification bell so when you know when we are live again, because this isn't our normal time slot. Unfortunately, Thursday night the internet went down. I wasn't able to be live, but I'm live right now. So let's talk a little FTR. As you know, FTR is the headline for the Super Bowl of Wrestling. And they have not been on television as of late. And people were like starting to wonder what's going on. Is their contract up? That sort of thing. And Dax Harwood went to Instagram today to tell us this. For the first time in 12 years, we've decided to step away and take some time to ourselves and to our family. I'm not sure when we'll be back, what we're going to do, how much longer we have, or if we even need to prove anything at all. So basically, FTR is taking some time off from the ring. We're not going to see him. There's a chance we don't see them at All In. I thought we would. There's a chance that we won't. They even said in one interview, one of the guys said they didn't even know if that would be their last AEW title run. So I'm wondering if that contract is about up. I'm not sure, but it is cool as shit to see them acknowledge and let the fans know. Not only that, Dax Harwood did go on to the end to plug his AMW Super Bowl of Wrestling appearance on August the 22nd at the Corbin Arena. So I thought that was really fucking cool of them. But Dax wasn't the only one talking. Cash was on I think it was a podcast talking about how they want to be a part of the New Japan Tag Team Tournament, and it's called the World Tag League. It usually takes place at the end of the year at Wrestle Kingdom, so they're not going to be a part of it this year. But it is something they said they would love to do before they're retired. Cash said this: "We wanted to do the World Tag League. There were other things schedule wise that would never actually happen or work out for it. So for now, I say we actually after we had a talk and after take a shot. So now after we had a talk about how we feel physically, I would like to attempt one World Tag League before we call it a day. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't know if we're gonna make it happen all the way through. I might just tap out in the middle of a match. Not even a submission. Just head home." He laughed. Take a bad bump, roll out, and just be done. I gave it. I gave it my best, everybody. I'm sorry, but I would love to at least try a World Tag League once because that's always something we've wanted to do and something we've accomplished almost everything else but that. So, is that a hint that we might get more FTR in New Japan? They are former New Japan champions, 7-star FTR. So I wonder how that would work moving forward. If you could see them there, can you guys see FTR as part of that tournament? I'm not sure. Let's see how many teams is in that. New Japan. In the World Tag League, it's a round robin tournament. Everybody goes up against everybody, similar to the similar to the Continental Classic, where everybody gets a chance. Everybody faces everybody. In that tournament, there are how many teams are in the World Tag League 2026? Let's see, let's do 2025. So, in the 2025, there's 8. Oh, is that 16? 16 teams. So each team faces everybody in their division. So eight teams in the A bracket, 8 teams in the B bracket. Very similar to what you have in the Continental Classic. So they would love to be a part of something like that, and I could definitely see them being a part of something like that and winning something like that, as they're such a big tag team and such a popular tag team, but also one of the best tag teams. Could that happen in 2026? Probably not. Could it happen in 2027 though? That's something to keep an eye out on, and that is something they could actually do under an AEW contract, because let's face it, New Japan and AEW work together very well. So you could see FTR going and doing a big tournament like that and representing AEW. Especially, like I said, you have New Japan talent come in and do AEW tournaments all the time. We just had it as part of the Owen Hart tournament with Stardom talent being in the women's tournament. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Something, if you get a chance to see FTR, which you can in Corbin, Kentucky, they only have 2 dates left really for the year. They have the one in Corbin, and then they have one overseas in England. So if you're wanting to see FTR this year, this might be one of your last chances to see them again this year. And that would be up against Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Good Brothers, in match 7, in the best of 7. Will it only be the best of 7? I don't know. Got to go to the show to find out. But yeah, they've those guys have really done everything there is to do, and I'm curious to see what they want to do next. Like, I don't think they really would want to go back to WWE, especially in the current WWE. Dax does not seem like somebody who would work out well in the organization. I could see Cash playing ball a little bit better, but Dax does not seem like somebody you would see back in WWE when their contract runs out. Could they do the independent route like the Good Brothers? That's a possibility. So, I mean, there is going to be work for FTR. Is it go be in CMLL? Is it like they've been the AAA champion? Do they want to be 7-star or 8-star FTR and get the CMLL championship? That would be cool. So I mean, there are still things out there that they haven't done that could still be done. So definitely keep an eye out on FTR. But we got one last topic to talk about before we head out for the day. And if any of you guys are in the chat and want me to discuss something, throw it in that chat. I'll throw your comment up on the screen and we will discuss it. And that is TNA. I've talked about NXT today, something I don't watch regularly. Now we're going to talk about TNA, something I gave a try. I really gave a try. I watched the first 2 episodes back on AMC, and it just did not change. Like, it was, I couldn't do it. I did not, there was no difference between them being on Anthem and them being on AMC because it was the same show, and they didn't change anything. Well, now it appears that we are going to see a change. As TNA posted they didn't just post, TNA fired 3 people last week. And actually, it was more than that. But 3 names that we would actually know. 2 of which were in the creative field, and 1 is a wrestler. Excuse me. Tommy Dreamer announced on Busted Open on Wednesday that he and TNA had departed ways. They said mutually TNA fired him. Tommy Dreamer worked as the... I'm just going to read the press conference statement and then we'll work our way backwards. TNA put out this press statement. TNA Wrestling today announced a workforce reduction designed to streamline operations and sharpen strategic force and profitability. TNA's creative leadership will see an immediate shift. Tommy Dreamer, who has worked in TNA's creative and talent relations department, is leaving the company as TNA and Dreamer mutually agreed to part ways. TNA Wrestling has also come to the terms with the release of Tessa Blanchard. We wish Tessa Blanchard and all the others the best in their future endeavors. They pulled out that old WWE line, in your future endeavors. So, like I said, Tommy Dreamer announces on Busted Open, hey, and he started fucking crying, man, that he was no longer with TNA. Later in the day, Sami Callihan gets a call. Sami Callihan had been working behind the scenes as a producer. He was the guy making the merch. He was one of the guys who helped them find the buildings. Like, he was in the back office working with them. He's retired as a talent, but Sami Callihan had been like a big guy in the background of TNA. He thinks he's getting the call to get the book. And by the book, I mean he thinks he's going to become the booker and head of creative. Not so much. He gets fired. And then 2 days before that, TNA released that Tessa Blanchard would no longer be working with TNA. So, let's talk about this big ball of mess of TNA. Let's start with Tessa Blanchard. So, Tessa Blanchard come back with the company in, let's see, what year was that? I want to say back in 2003. It might have been 2004. Um, she was in the middle of a 3-year deal when she was let go. And Tessa has been working in Mexico and living in Mexico since around the pandemic. Tessa Blanchard has a history of making comments she shouldn't be making. She has a history of being very disruptive in the locker room. So she has not moved forward in her career the way you would think she was. She had a cup of coffee with WWE in 2016. She was a part of the Mae Young Classic. In 2018, she joined Impact, would go on to beat Sami Callihan for the title in 2020. At which point, the pandemic happens and all shit goes loose. Tessa refuses to show up. She's living in Mexico. She's got the belt. She keeps the belt, and they fire her on June 30th because she was supposed to be at the taping as the champion and basically burnt every bridge she had at that point. She was supposed to work at her last match then was a taped match in April 7th of 2020. In June, she was supposed to. She hadn't showed up to work any of that time. So she went from March 7th, which was pre the world ending, and then by June she's supposed to come back as the champion. She doesn't show up. They strip her of the championship. She gets fired from TNA. She then starts working in AAA around that time. She works with Conan, and then she finds a home in CMLL. And she's been working in CMLL pretty consistent since 2023. She worked all of 2023, most of 2024 in CMLL. And then in 2024, she re-signs with TNA, something a lot of people did not expect. She showed up at Final Resolution in December of 24, attacks Jordan Grace, and makes herself a heel that she remained for the rest of her time there. Fast forward, you think, she continues working with CMLL, and that becomes a conflict because, as we know, around the last year, WWE creates a working relationship with TNA, where WWE talent can be on TNA, but TNA talent can be on the WWE. See, and that's how they got Joe Hendry. That's how they got Jordan Grace. Like, those are names that were big names in TNA. They go on to show off in NXT, and now they're on the main roster. Kind of like how they're getting ready to poach Santana after the pay-per-view I think it's next week in Boston, Slammiversary. That's when he'll drop the title to Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth will become champion. That'll be the swan song for Santana. Santana will go to the WWE, and there you go. What does that have to do with Tessa Blanchard? Well, in that time of her contract, WWE buys AAA. AAA is CMLL's biggest rival. Tessa Blanchard is working for TNA, which is a partner of WWE, but she is also regularly featured in Mexico on CMLL. And basically it come down to TNA says that CMLL made her choose. She says TNA made her choose. So no matter what, she had to make the decision. Does she work in CMLL, which pays her a lot more money, gives her a lot more bookings? Or does she work in America where she's pretty much hated? She's never going to make it to WWE. If AEW wanted her, they would have already had her in working TNA. And smartly, she chooses CMLL. Therefore, they give her her release. She even goes on CMLL TV this past week to talk about it. They gave her the microphone in an interview. It was smart. They took advantage of this situation. So Tessa Blanchard is gone from TNA. Then, like I said, a few days later, Tommy Dreamer is gone from TNA. And I'm not going to talk like this is not a good thing. Is TNA a fucking mess? Yes. Has Tommy Dreamer had the pencil for too goddamn long in TNA? Also, yes. Now, I know the talent loves Tommy Dreamer. Everybody loves Tommy Dreamer. Well, not everybody. But a lot of TNA talent does love Tommy Dreamer. And because of that, they are probably going to be a little upset that Tommy is no longer with TNA. But realistically, it's probably the best thing that's happened in TNA in a long time. Tommy Dreamer has had the book since before the pandemic, and TNA has not got much better. Their best time with TNA was right after the pandemic when the Good Brothers come in and all that WWE talent showed up that got fired in TNA. And that is the height of TNA in the last 6 years. So I don't think it's a bad thing to have a new creative decision. I do think that if it's the names they're talking about, that's probably not the greatest idea. The current rumor to take Tommy Dreamer's spot in TNA is Road Dogg. And Road Dogg didn't have a great track record of running SmackDown. Can he do the job? Yeah. Is he going to do the job better than Tommy Dreamer? Maybe. Is it going to be a modern project? Not really. Sami Callihan thought maybe this was his opportunity to finally become head of creative, to give a fresh face to it. Sami Callihan runs Pro Wrestler Revolver and does a great job of it. It's one of the top indies in the country. And people thought, hey, maybe, just maybe, a fresh face will get the pencil. And currently, I think it's Delirious who has the pencil from Ring of Honor. He used to run Ring of Honor, and now he's running TNA. And one of the things Sami Callihan made a good point. And there's 10 people that just gets this job passed around to them. You know, you see Road Dogg get fired from... you got Road Dogg, who was fired from WWE or left WWE, I don't know. And he's in the running for the TNA job. Tommy Dreamer had the job at ECW, and then he worked in WWE, and then he got the TNA job. You have basically the only fresh name as a booker is Tony Khan, and that's because he bought his own company. But other than that, you had the same couple people rotating through the WWE, Ring of Honor. It's probably the same way in MLW. Like, you have these same people as bookers, and they just kind of rotate. Think about it. Even in JCW and Juggalo Championship Wrestling, you got Vince Russo, who's had the pencil so many times. Let me phrase it. He's broken the pencil so many times that the fact that he still has a job is insane to me. There was rumors of maybe Al Snow. With the Al Snow rumor also come the fact that OVW might be becoming a developmental for TNA. If you know anything about OVW, you know they are the one thing that will not die. They're currently they're bragging about being the second longest running television show behind Raw. And they have done a lot of episodes, and they've had a lot of different leadership. But they've played this tune before. There was a time before Matt Jones bought um, OVW and got it on Netflix that OVW was going to be a developmental for Impact. There was a reason that Impact was running shows at the OVW arena because they were working together. So they've had a working relationship before, and it did not create any, zero, zilch, nada, not one talent for TNA. So the fact that they're talking about doing that again is like, is the definition of insanity in play here. If you do the same thing over and over and you expect the different results, you're fucking insane. And I'm wondering if that's how it's going to be with OVW and a TNA relationship. Could it work this time? Maybe. Will it work? I don't fucking know. Could Al Snow come around and take over the book in for TNA and do better than Road Dogg or any of the other names thrown around? Maybe. Fuck. Where does this leave Tommy Dreamer? I think it leaves him as a radio announcer, but some people's wanting to see him in AEW, and I'm like, I don't. Like, he's not done anything for a while that modern wrestling fans want to see. So why keep him around? It's just, I did not think when Carlos Silva took over the TNA job that TNA was going to improve. I honestly thought they were getting ready for a sale. But the more I think about a sale of TNA, it makes me think, what is there to sell of TNA? TNA doesn't have long-term contracts. They have a couple. They have the Hardys. They have Moose. They've got the people who were on contract prior to Anthem reshuffling and making Carlos Silva the man in charge. But he has not shown to do anything to help them other than make them more financially profitable. And the question is like, how profitable are they? They sold out arenas for a couple months, but they're not selling them out now. They have Slammiversary coming up in, I think it's next week, and they are no closer to selling out that place than they were any events last year. They literally did Slammiversary in New York City recently. 5,000 people in the arena. They can't get 1,500 people in the arena right now. Their shows are back to where they could be doing them on a stage again. They don't have the crowd that they once had, and what they do have, they paper. So it's like, TNA under Carlos Silva, are they doing any better than when Scott D'Amore was in charge? Not really. Was things going to change under Scott D'Amore? Maybe. I mean, we see what Scott's got to do with MLW, but we don't know how it would have actually worked with TNA because he didn't get a chance once they relaunched. Would they be on AMC under Scott D'Amore? Probably not. I think that deal, it was worked with, I think they got that deal because of Carlos Silva and WWE, not because of Scott D'Amore. But the product, like I said, isn't getting any better. And if it's not getting better, you have to make a change. And the first step is getting rid of Tommy Dreamer. The Tessa Blanchard thing, I don't think it hurts them, helps them. It doesn't really matter. I know they've lost a lot of producers, photographers. I've heard up to 10 to 12 people have lost their jobs. Not all of them said anything, but it's just, it's sad that you're just firing people to try and save money, but you're not doing anything to make the product better. And are you saving money by getting rid of all those people and bringing Road Dogg in for probably around the same money that you just fired all those people for? Are you, like, I don't know how TNA survives, but they always survive. They are the fucking cockroach that does not die. They will be around when every time you think TNA is dead, TNA comes back. So I I, I don't think they're going anywhere. But what are you going to sell? Like I was getting to on that. They don't own their rings. They don't have long-term contracts. They don't own their production stuff. They've got some belts in a library. Anybody can create a belt. Tony Khan's proved that. WWE isn't in the library acquisition, and any talent that's there they can use right now. So there's why buy the cow when you why buy the milk why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? Tony Khan had the opportunity to buy Ring of Honor. Buy TNA prior to him buying Ring of Honor. He chose Ring of Honor because that's where most of his talent was. That way, he owned their library. With the creation of my AEW, could the mindset change and them want to buy TNA? Maybe, but I just don't see that happening. I just don't know who would want to buy TNA. You're buying 3 letters. You're buying a belt. You're buying a stack of belts. You're not getting any contracts, and you're getting a library. And yeah, is that library valuable? Yeah, I think the library has value. But do you need a whole company for it? No, you don't. So that's my TNA talk. I've talked way too long on that. I didn't. Originally that was going to be the topic for the week was TNA, and then I went to NXT and I was like, you know what? I want to talk about NXT. I had a great time. Let's talk about that. So, we got one more thing before we go. Make sure I've covered all my topics. I've got that knocked out. As you guys know, I'm a wrestling fan. And they announced, they being Mattel and WWE, announced one of the coolest wrestling sets, and I had to talk about it. It is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which will be available on July the 23rd at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I think the 23rd is the first day of San Diego Comic-Con. Let's see here. 23rd. Yeah, the Thursday that San Diego Comic-Con kicks off. These wrestling figures are so fucking cool, I had to talk about them. And it's one of those, like, I don't know if I'm getting, but I'm probably going to get. This will be a game time decision, but it's too cool not to fucking show. And that is, let's see if I can get it on the screen before I do that. The Rockin' Wrestler 3-pack. Which, like I said, goes on sale on Mattel Creations July the 23rd, 32 days from now at noon. It features Roddy Piper. It features Captain Lou, but most importantly, the first WWE Cyndi Lauper figure. WWE and Cyndi Lauper have had a relationship since the Rockin' Wrestling days, and this depicts what is the believe. Let's see here. This 3-pack depicts June 16th, 1984, when Piper's Pit would go into history and create the Rockin' Wrestling Connection. Roddy Piper interviews Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou, and this leads to Cyndi Lauper being a part of all of this shit. She becomes a fixture, and I think will lead to her being into this year's WWE Hall of Fame. She just went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but this is such a beautiful case. I want this because, one, Cyndi Lauper's never had a figure, and I think that's cool as shit. Do I need another Roddy Piper? No. Do I need a Captain Lou? Maybe. But I can get both of those in the Legends line right now. But you can't get Cyndi Lauper. But if I was to buy this set, it will not come out of this fucking box. I mean, look at this beautiful box set. for San Diego Comic Con. It looks like an old 80s wooden CRT. On the front, you have the dials, and then on the back of the box, let's see if I can get this picture up. The back of the box looks like the back of a CRT, and then it has, your dialogue that I was just talking about. Even has the RCA connectors and the coax cable on the back of the box. No details were spared. On the side of the box is your traditional looking WWE Legends style figure. But yeah, you're going to get 3 figures. You're going to get Captain Lou. You're going to get Roddy Piper. And you're going to get Cyndi Lauper. As well as soft goods outfit for Roddy Piper that dates back to this episode. If you look it up, you can find this specific episode. And then Captain Lou's kind of your regular Captain Lou. But yeah, such a cool 3-pack. I had to talk about it on the show. It does have a pretty hefty price tag of $80. Do I think this is going to sell out in the first week? No. But do I think it's going to be around long term? Also no. I think this is going to be something that within 2 weeks, Mattel's going to sell them all if they didn't make a small limited run of them. So I'm not sure if they did that or not, but definitely wanted to let you guys know about that. If you are a wrestling action figure fan, check that out. Also, if you're not, check out the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. Get your latest news on all wrestling figures. I'm sure that you're going to be talking about this set a lot in the next week. Hell, they may even get one before it's over with. But definitely wanted to show you that. And let's see here. I'm going to change that. Stop screen. And then before we go, wanted to talk about, or wanted to remind you guys to hit that like button. The thumbs up is the biggest way to help this page, besides sharing and subscribing. Let's see if we've got any new subscribers since we started this update. We are at 883 subscribers. I want to be at 1,000 subscribers when Conor McGregor walks into the cage on the 11th of July. That's like 21 days to get 117 subscribers. I think we can do it before the 4th of July, but I can't do it without you guys' help. You guys liking the page, sharing it out to everybody. That's how we get to 1,000 subscribers. I also need your help in watching the videos. I'm going to be posting more smaller videos, shorter content. Also, like our shorts. No matter what, just watch the content. It helps us grow. It helps us get a bigger audience. It helps us be able to update our software or gain a bigger viewership. If you're not already, follow us on our social medias at RSRG Podcast. We are at RSRG Podcast on TikTok, X, and Instagram. We're at Random Shit or RSRG Entertainment on Facebook. Like those pages, comment on our stuff. I'm going to be posting all kinds of pictures from NXT on Instagram and Facebook this week, so keep an eye out for those. As you guys saw, I got to meet Tozawa, or I got a picture with Tozawa. I didn't really meet him, but I got a picture with Tozawa after the NXT show in Corbin. That's on our headline. So I'm going to be posting all kinds of pictures throughout the week. So check out at RSRG Podcast on Instagram for that. One last time with the reminder of the show in Corbin, Kentucky. Got the graphic up. We got the Super Bowl of Wrestling taking place on August the 22nd from the Corbin Arena. I want this show to be big because I want more shows like it to take place at home so that I don't have to travel. I love going 20 minutes to a wrestling show and not an hour. So if you haven't yet, get your tickets. amwrestling.com. There's all kinds of choices on your seats. You can sit on the floor. You can sit up in the bowl. Your ticket also gets you into the convention, which takes place earlier in the day, to get a chance to meet all of these guys. There's going to be more vendors added as the time gets closer, so make sure you are checking them out, and subscribe to the AMW on all the different platforms. They have a Tuesday show on YouTube, so check that out as well. I have been saying check out a lot. Sorry about that. But yeah, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, Super Bowl of Wrestling, August the 22nd. I'll be there. I hope to see you there as well. Other than that, that's all we got for this week. I do want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to hit the music, and then we will see you later. Peace.